Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So this is a continuation of my beginner series and we're going to be talking about matting and layering. So these are the same toppers, the same sentiments and the same background papers on both of these cards, and the cards are the same size, but look how different they are. There's dimension on this card as well, which is adding shadows to it. It really pops. It just makes a massive difference to your card making. You're not using a very large amount of extra card there, and don't think it has to be black. We'll discuss that in a moment. Also, you can cut these borders out of the inside of the bottom layer if you like, so you're not wasting anything at all. So you can literally take everything from that one piece. You can cut this little black bit in the very center of this bit that you cut out, so you can build it all up like that. So you don't have to waste cardstock with matting and layering, and it just makes a huge difference, doesn't it? So let's get started and give you some ideas on this. So here's a set very similar from the same kit, similar papers, etc. And you can see it just looks really flat when you lay it onto the card. Now colours, so you don't have to use black. So you can use things like a shiny gold or silver mirror card. So when I just give it that little border there, you can see how already that is making that pop. And then I lay that onto the cardstock and it just lifts it, it just brings it right off. Now you don't have to use a mirror card, it is quite expensive. So you can use coloured paper or card from your stash. Now you can see here, this is a gorgeous colour and it brings out really nice tones from the vase, etc. there. But if I was to do that with one of the lighter colours, because it's a shaded pack, you can see that that's very, very wishy-washy sitting on there. It doesn't really make a difference and it's not really worth bothering about. You could go for a nice pink and really make it pop as well. If you start going middle tones, and you can see it does make a difference, it is helping, but it's nowhere near as good as having that dark contrast. They just really makes your cardstock pop. The other thing you can do is you can outline it with pens or inks. If you haven't got any papers, you can just take a ruler and just draw a line around the edge and things like that. So let's talk about matting and layering. Now I'm just going to show you with this one. No, I'll show you with the other one actually, because we'll make one where it really does pop. We'll use the black. So we've got our card base and we've got all our bits of paper. So we've cut down our paper, cut down our topper sheet. And also, just bear with me, I'm just grabbing the other bit. So we've got our topper and there is a little bit of black there for our sentiment to go on. I know you can't see them, but it's not important at the moment. So several ways to, well, first of all, let's talk about sizes. So take yourself a notepad, because then you'll always have this to refer to, if you're, especially if you're just starting out. So if you're doing an A2 card and your width, if you keep it in the same place, so like your width and your length, whatever you want to call it, so width and length. So your width is going to be 4 1/4, okay, and your length is 5.5 inches, okay. I wrote 5.5, but there you go. I'm in England and I'm very decimal, but I'm doing inches because everybody loves them. So I go down either 1/2 centimetre if you're like me, or 1/4 inch. So your first layer, so that would be your biggest black layer, is going to be, you're going to need to cut it 4 by 5 1/4. Okay, I'll do quarter, there you go. So 4 by 5 1/4, and you can write there layer 1, or just 1, you know, once you've wrote layer you don't have to repeat it. So layer 1, then layer 2, you're going to make that 1/4 inch smaller again, so it's going to be 3 3/4 by 5, so that's layer 2. Layer 3, which is going to be your topper, and you measure out your topper. And it doesn't matter what it is, we'll just say for this video it's 2.5. I'm not going to measure it. 2.5 wide and it's 3.5 deep is the topper. So that's your topper. So your layer under it, so your layer 3 is going to be 1/4 inch bigger. Okay, so you work backwards on this one. So you're going to go to 2 3/4. And 3 3/4. So that's the size you're going to cut down the black. And you can also write the colour actually, it's probably not a bad idea. Just write that it's black, yeah. That's black and that's your paper. So that's your paper. So the more notes you make, when you walk over to your trimmer, you can cut everything in one go, and then you know you're good to go. So that's just a little tip there about just jotting down sizes so you don't have to keep thinking, what was it? How many centimetres? And cut it the wrong side, and it's frustrating because you've cut the paper too big, too small. Well, too small is the problem, isn't it? Because you can't make it grow again. Now, with regards to adhesives, I tend to use a glue, and I do love my Pimplay Glue It bookbinding glue. It dries very quick, it also dries clear, and you've got manoeuvrability with it. But you know, if you want a different PVA that doesn't dry as quick, so you've got more time to move it about for your accuracy, then you know, by all means go for what you feel comfortable with. The other thing is tape. So if you use tape, now I tend to just go, because I've been doing it for so many years, I just put tape on, whip it off, and do it by eye onto there. But with tape, it's not very forgiving. Okay, so there is a little trick you can do with tape, and that's pop your tape on. Now, if you haven't got a finger lift tape like this, you might have to cut it, and you just take your scissors and cut it, but mine's actually a tearing one. And then what you can do is you just lift the edge of it. I'll take a pokey tool, and you just lift the edge of it and fold it back like that. So you've exposed the tape, but only in a corner, and then all of this is free. And then you can go round. I mean, with this topper, I wouldn't even do both the sides, but you can go around all four sides. We would do it so that you can see. So on this one, I'm just going to take the same corner like that, and you can do opposite corners, doesn't matter. Then we've got this little bit here at the bottom, and you just pull it downwards. You just make them all so they're all coming out of the edges like this, so that when you're ready to go, you're only touching the tape down in a few places. And then if you do go wrong, then you've got a, you know, you've only got a little bit to pull back off, because sometimes you can, especially if you're gluing onto paper, you can ruin it. So you just take your topper and then just get it so you're looking happy with the way it is. Just check out all the edges. I am sitting at an angle, so that's my excuse if it goes wonky. And to be honest with you, if it's like a tiny little bit out, can you see I can manoeuvre it. I'm happy with how it was stuck there. So you get it happy with how you are at one point, and you know there's a bit of glue exposed there, bit of tape, and then just manoeuvre it until you're happy with that piece where it's glued there. And then you just pull these little tabs, and then you can just glue it into place without any drama. No worrying about it. And you've got it on there. Pretty good. And now if it's a little tiny bit out, don't worry about it. People don't notice, to be honest. My preferred method is wet glue. And especially when you're using things like paper, because paper will tear. If you get the tape on wrong, it's really, really difficult to take it off of the cardstock without ruining the paper. And I mean ruining the paper as well. You can't usually recover it. So I tend to use my wet glue, especially with paper, onto my layer. And then again, it's the same thing. Just lay it down, and let me just grab that. So you can see you've just got that little bit of wiggle time, we call it. And you can wipe any glue. And the other thing that's good to have to hand is a cloth. Right, and just wipe that glue, because if you rub it with your finger and you've got dirty fingers because your chocolate stash is in your craft room, and you rub your chocolate across there, it doesn't look very nice. So there you go, that's my preferred way. You can see I've got a bit of glue there. So just wipe it away. It doesn't matter, it dries clear, so it doesn't matter about getting glue on there. It's probably better if you don't, but it doesn't matter. And then to add dimension to your card, you need something like foam tape or foam pads. So this is foam pads, and then foam tape comes in all different types of widths. So it's on a roll usually, different height of thickness as well. So that's good for, you know, adding things to. Now the really good thing about these, they're on a backing sheet. Okay, so if I remove it, you'll see there that the foam strips are on a backing sheet. And what you want to do, and I'll show you what you don't want to do, try and find something that it won't matter to, but I'll clean it after. So what you don't want to do is wreck your good scissors. So with And I do this with tape as well, by the way. I find myself, so when you've used things like these sheets and you've got a spare bit there, if you're cutting foam tape, because it doesn't have that backing, lay it onto something like that and then cut through it. Yeah, and it won't stick to your scissors. Now, if I do this now and it sticks to my scissors, it is an absolute nightmare. You get all this like messy glue on your scissors, which stops the cutting of the paper. That wasn't too bad, but I've had it sometimes where it's an absolute nightmare. And that's probably, these are much stronger. See, can you see? Look. That is really, just the edge of it is really attaching, and it will leave a residue on my scissors. I mean, they're dirty scissors anyway. But always keep your paper, your little pieces on your backing paper and cut them. So like for this one, this is really, you know, too wide for the size that I want. And pretend I haven't got that roll that fits. So what I would then do is just cut my size down, and if I wanted it to be even longer so it fits completely more than one, and I would do that and then just snip that piece off there. And now I know I've got the bit and I haven't wrecked my scissors or anything like that. So that's just another way of doing it. So lots of ways to do things, and these foam tapes are what's going to add amazing dimension to your cards. So take your cardstock and then put your first layer down, and I always put my first layer down flat. You don't have to, but I just think you don't want it to be too weighty and too heavy if you've got more layers being added on. Now this is only about matting and layering, and obviously with your card making we'll get to like adding ribbon and things like that as well in the future, and pearls, and that will make it stand out even further. And I'll do a tutorial soon on how to add ribbon to your cards, several different ways as well, not just one. So you can see there we've got our first layer down. So now what I'm going to do is put that to one side, and we're going to add some dimension to this layer. So we're going to take our foam pads, and now you don't have to fill the page. Don't think this has got to be completely covered like that with foam pads. It's good to get it near to the corners, but you don't want it to be seen. So you can do, oh look, I've got that funny shape one I did. Never mind. So you can have gaps between them as well. And you can, you don't even really need this many, but that will give it a nice base. That's not going to go anywhere. So just remove your tape with your, I like to do pokey tool, okay? So I'll just grab the tape with a pokey tool, like that, and then just lift it. And I keep hold of it on my finger. Over the years I've just started doing that, and I gather them all up like this and then throw them straight in the bin, which I just wheeled away to do. How tiny of me. So now we just bring our card over, and always check, should have done that before this, that your card is in the position you want it before you stick anything onto it. And then just by eye I do it, but you can measure, and you can use your mat. You can line up your mat and just think, right, that's halfway down through, like that, and then pop your topper halfway. Just get a guide. Now the other thing to mention with these is they are really, really sticky. They're not going anywhere. So if you're worried about that, get your wet glue, run it just along the top of all your pads like this, and that will help give you that little bit of manoeuvrability. So if I just pop that down, you can see it's wanting to stick, but it's not 100% stuck. So I've got a little bit of manoeuvrability on there. I can't really see because I'm at an angle, but I think that's about straight from top and bottom. And then again, and also with your toppers, sometimes you get like little pips on there, and it's good to take them off first. So I'm going to add my topper, my sentiment topper that is, onto my little strip that I've cut down. That, just wait for it to dry. And I hope this has helped you guys. I'd just like to say thank you to all of you that have subscribed to my channel already. I do appreciate it. Hit the like button and send me a comment if there's anything you want me to do in particular. And then we're just going to put the foam pad onto there. and then just take that piece off the back, pick it up so you can use your finger to pick it up, and then just pop it on to your card wherever you want it. I might put this one at the top actually, do it a little bit different. Thinking of you, it's cute, isn't it? So there you go. So we've got our card with lots and lots of dimension to it, some shadows, and making it pop. So I hope this has helped you guys, and I'll see you again soon. Thank you for watching. Bye.